Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of Pillars of Eternity Let's Play with me, Gingereno. This is a Let's Play series focusing on exploring the world of Eora for those of you who are interested in Avowed coming out, but aren't really into playing the Pillars of Eternity games themselves, just because maybe you're not into the CRPG style or what have you. So this is me, the host of the World of Eora Lore and News podcast. For Pillars of Eternity and Avowed. We're going through the game piece by piece. It's been a while since I've made an episode. I mean, I might upload these back to back, but there's quite a space between when I make this episode of my last one. So sorry if I am playing a little bit of catch up. But let's jump into today's episode, see where we're going. Ah, yes, I recall now. Here we are with my wonderful troop of people, and let's see, there I am.
Well?
That's right. I am a godlike chanter because I'm a ginger and I also do a podcast. So it made sense that I was going to be a chanter, someone who likes to spew lore out and about. If I remember correctly, we are chasing Theos, who has killed the Duke and Lady Web. And so here we are at Teir Evron in Elms Reach. And we have to speak with the Delmgon. So we're going to learn a little bit more about them. All right. So,
Of course.
here everyone is. Let's get on through it.
Elms Ridge was first called Elms in honor of the giant trees that give this Glenfasan city its name. The area was laid out by Bobby Null, the lead area designer for the team, and Hector Espinosa, our lead environment artist, did an amazing job with the 3D render and bringing it to life. At its bottom right corner, you'll notice perhaps a cool archway made by roots from one of the elms. This led to an area of the game that we had to cut, a mystical forest called the Wheel of Fates, where you'd be sent to speak with the Ancestor Stones, a collection of souls of Glenfathan leaders, right, whose wisdom is revered by the tribes. The catch was, of course, that you could only do so by ingesting hallucinogenic mushrooms that would sort of lead your vision quest towards these stones. The realities of game development sometimes result in awesome things like this having to get cut so that you can focus polish into something else, some other areas of the game. The lesson for aspiring designers is structure areas and stories and quests in a modular way so that you can, if need be, take things out without affecting other aspects of the game.
That's actually so cool. A mythical forest where you have to take mushrooms and talk to soul-infused stones about stuff. What was the name of the mystical forest? Wheel of Fate? That's cool. I didn't know that. I didn't play the game the first time with the developer commentary on. So that's cool. I'm interested to learn that. Actually, one thing I like to do before we get into it is to stop and take a look at some of the lore or something going on. And seeing as how we are, I thought they would have an input for this particular place that we're in, but that's okay. What should we take a look at today for the lore? You know? Have we talked about Glenfath? Oh, let's talk about him here. A territory comprised of the forest southeast of the Bale River, populated indigenously by a group of loosely affiliated tribes collectively known as Glenfathans, and governed by a council of 6 most powerful tribes. Glenfath is home to a large number of ruined and Gwithan sites, which Glenfathans hold sacred. The ruins have been at the center of the number of large-scale conflicts within Deerwooden colonists, those whose settlements often encroach on Glenfathan territory, and who frequently seek to plunder the ruins for their relics. So, in short, here's a bit of history for you. This region of the world that we're in, the world of Eora, is called the Deerwood. The Deerwood is one region on a larger continent that it commonly is referred to as Eastern Reach. Now, here in Defiance Bay, which was actually called Dunreed, or New Dunreed, a long time ago, is where colonists from the Adir Kingdom came from, way far out west. They came over here on a boat, started here, and began building a colony. Thing is, though, is that there was already people living in this area, these indigenous tribes known as the Glenfathans. Glenfath, I believe, is the name that they like to go by. There has been a lot of conflict between the Glenfathan tribes of this area and the Deerwooden colonists, as they became known. We're playing the game kind of after a lot of those conflicts, and there's kind of a peace that exists between the two now, especially since Deerwooden colonists have gained their independence from their mother nation of deer. So, it's just a little bit of history there for you. Anyways, back to the game. Ooh, some exposition.
You have stayed true to our cause, Inquisitor, when so many others have not. For every heretic we confess, for every betrayer that burns on our pyres, new sheep continue to flock to Iavara ex Incios. But not you. I underestimated you in the beginning, but no longer.
You honor me, Grand Inquisitor.
It is not for honor that I summoned you today, but for duty. Too many of our own have confessed upon the wheel and the rack and the flame. Too many of our faithful have had their minds poisoned by the Kratom witch. The tide is against us now. We have but one option. Iavara's following must see her exposed for what she is. She must confess her heresy before my court.
How would we reach her?
Not in Kratom, surely. Their lord has embraced her heathen faith and protects her with his army. But in Oceanus, things would be different. The king of Oceanus is a sinful man. We have helped him to see the error of his ways, and now he fears for his soul. He would pay any price for absolution.
How would we get Iavara to move to Oceanus?
You told me once that you had never met Iavara. Now you will tell me the truth.
Theos stares into your eyes. He seems never to blink. A rush of panic spreads through your body, and you can feel the sweat beginning to seep through your skin. You want to be anywhere else, but there is no escaping his gaze. She was my mentor.
I pray her old teachings were less blasphemous than the new. Was it worthwhile, this mentorship?
I learned to be strong in my convictions.
Indeed. If she had held true to hers, we wouldn't be in this position. You are wise to be forthcoming with me. I am willing to forget your prior lapse in memory. You have already done much for the Inquisition. I wouldn't ask this were there any other choice.
It appears my former self, allied with Theos. Looks like I'm going to try to give up Iavara, a very important character, as you'll see, in the story for this game. Now, here's where we talk to the Delimgon, which are so interesting lore-wise. I'll read it at the end of this episode, I think. Sidha. Two identical women seem to fade into view as they move away from the great trees that camouflage them. Their skin is tree bark, rigid and scaly, wreathed in a curling tangle of roots, buds, and blooms. Their hair hangs beneath the shade of serrated leaves like the drooping branches of the elms above, and the pupils of their eyes are encircled by hundreds or even thousands of concentric rings, as if to mark the accumulated wisdom of millennia.
Turn around, flesh creature. Outsiders are not permitted to approach the elms.
Do you not feel it, sister? Something familiar. An ancient soul, like the other one. Another defiler, no doubt. Let us fell him and be troubled no more. It would pay the debt of his predecessor.
No, please don't do that.
So it would seem, Rhiannon. But we must not hasten to judgment. I see a different motive here. Different questions in these eyes.
What of it, young trespasser? Is it as my sister says? Or are you here to stain this place with foul deeds?
I seek a man who came through here. It sounds as though you've already met him.
There! By his own admission, Sheetha.
Sheetha?
Really, sister? And you wonder why your leaves begin to fall out before midsummer? Clearly that man did not want to be followed. Whatever the relationship here, I suspect it is anything but cordial.
Sheetha turns back to face you.
The answer is yes, old one. We crossed paths with Theos not long ago, and we can tell you where he went. But I find it curious that anyone would seek him out. Suspicious, even. If we are to help you find him, we would know why.
Stopping him might end Widewind's legacy.
So that is the reason he passed this way. This is low, even for the leaden key.
I told you we should have confronted him, Sheila. He has always been a poison.
It would have been the last thing we ever did, sister. Who can be said to have ever gotten the better of Theos?
Yes, but imagine how much fun it would have been. Can't you just picture him all strung up in vines like an angry little puppet?
But that's not what this is really about, is it? You are bound to that man. I see it now. You are awakened. Your soul is awake, and something once buried deep now wells to the surface. Past overwhelms present, closes in around you. Your time has nearly reached its end.
I just need to get to Theos.
I am sorry to tell you this, but Theos cannot give you what you seek. Nor can any man. An awakening cannot be undone, any more than your past can be undone.
What's she mean? I thought Merwald said... This is permanent? What? Kana glances at you. But that can't be right. Not after everything. There must be someone else we can ask. Sagani's gaze flickers to you. I'm sorry. We did not come down this road together to be refused passage by a pair of talking saplings. So this has all been for nothing, and I'm gonna lose my mind?
The soul is formless without a past to shape it. Did you truly expect to be able to wipe it away?
I had to believe in something.
You would rather believe in a comforting falsity than accept a hard truth. A common trait among your kind. Endearing in some ways, but it is an obstruction. A lie within a lie. It is only when you face that truth, abandon hope of salvation, and digest its uncompromising absoluteness, that a soul's true nature is laid bare. However, as much as my sister speaks truly that there is no way back from an awakening, there may yet be a way forward. Would you agree, Sheila?
I would. Were the way not so likely to end in death.
Death may be preferable to what lies in store for me.
It may, but not all deaths are alike, and the man you pursue is versed in thousands of them.
The man Theos you must already know by now. You are linked by a common past. Something about it lingers within you, festering, unresolved. What it is I cannot see any more than you. And without that knowledge, your doom is certain. But were you to learn the source of this discord, perhaps it could be put to rest. Though it is equally possible it will trouble you as much now as it did then, and merely speed your condition to its end.
When my past comes to me in pieces, how do I unlock the rest?
You might wait for it to come on its own, of course. But when it comes, it will replace your sanity's last breath. Such is the nature of your condition.
Or you could learn it from someone who already knows.
Theos. Would he remember?
It is said the gods made his memory perfect, that he may never forget his charge. If he ever knew, he still does.
Not that he would tell you, of course.
You have followed the right person for the wrong reason, it seems. We see it often beneath the elms. The soul dragging mind and body to unknown places for unfathomable reasons. You may have wandered into Theos' path many times, in many lifetimes, without an awakening to show you why.
The only thing that's certain is you did not find what you sought.
You said you know where he went.
He has gone down beneath the tower to a place older than we, where the people of Engwith once walked. He makes his way to the buried city, Sun and Shadow.
May he stay down there and rot with the remains of his people.
He may yet. He won't be returning the way he came, that much is certain. He opened a secret path in the tower's base, and saw it destroyed behind him through some vile means.
Is there another way to get to him?
We know of one. On the burial isle, through the court of the penitents, Braeth Yaman. A shortcut, in fact.
Don't be cruel, sister. The way my sister speaks of is not for the faint of heart. A great pit at the center of a forgotten court, where faiths were judged in place of crimes. To most, it is simply a gateway to death. With the help of the gods, it can take you where you want to go.
What do you mean with the help of the gods?
The pit is said to have been a means of judgment by the gods. Those cast into it are meant to die. It is that way you must pass to reach Sun and Shadow. The court is old. We do not know much for certain, but it would seem only the gods themselves can grant passage.
What is this court?
No more than a ruin now. It is older than we. A place for the trial of heretics. We were not here to witness it, but at one time there was a group that refused to acknowledge the gods. Neither the first nor the last, of course, but these were numerous and all put on trial for it. Those who did not repent were cast into the pit and imprisoned below. The fall killed them, of course. The prison was not for people but for their souls, and their sentences were eternal. It is said that many of the condemned repented and were permitted by the gods to ascend from the pit, so long as they pledged their service to one of them. But these are old legends.
Well, would I ever get the gods to help me?
Behind us is Teir Evron, said to pierce the shroud itself and a place of communion with all gods. If ever there was a time for prayer, you have found it.
So the only way to get through this pit is to pray for help?
Not the only way. Just the only one that doesn't end with your body impaled on jagged rocks.
Alright, well, who would I pray to? Any god you can, I should think.
I would pray first to those gods you like best. I hope for your sake the feeling is shared.
I might have other questions.
What do you wish to know?
I want to know about the two of you, of course, you fine ladies.
There is little to be said about us, for we are bound here, caretakers and defenders of this place. Our journey has been over time, but not distance, measured in observations, but not experiences. We have seen the elms grow tall. We have seen cities built, burned, and built again. The only constant has been the tower, a silent companion through the ages. You can imagine why this recent destruction has stirred my sister so.
If you do nothing else, make that man pay for what he did here.
Okay, farewell.
Before you go, tell me this, old one. I'm curious. If you were to subdue your enemy, what would you do with him? What would give you peace?
Well, I won't know until I get there.
A great many questions still to be answered. All the same, think on this matter. Be assured in your course. In the end, it may mean all the difference, not just to his soul, but to yours. And be warned. Some questions have answers that can never be learned, and it is those that trouble the soul above all others. May you find an answer to yours.
Okay. Got it. So, I just need to pray to the gods, and then everything will be fine. Thanks, Delum Khan sisters. Alright, here we are at Teir
Teir Evron, the Tower of the Stars, had to be awesome. But we also had really limited space to work with. We intended to have statues for each of the gods, but then linking it to some narrative new ideas, we decided to put a kind of map on the floor, illuminated by the tower itself, sort of like a star map. And then John Lewis, he's an awesome effects artist, came to the rescue of us crazy designers and made a set of really cool special effects so that we could materialize our wild ideas into something tangible.
Cool. Well, here we are at Teir Evron, where we can sprechen Sie to the gods. I have to do that by reading all of these books. Look at all these books. So the Book of the Hunt, this is about Galawain. I'm not going to read through all of these, but like, for example, you open it up. This is kind of like the Bible for the god Galawain, in a sense. It's a piece of scripture. So that's for Galawain. Daily affirmation, that's for Abidin. Which one's this? Excerpts from Sermons of Struggle. This is probably Magran, yep. The Midwife's Memoirs, that would be Hylea. The Queen That Was and Still Is, that's psalm for Wodica. Nice. What else we got? We got something here. We got Final Journal of Jonas, which is for Skane. Missives of the Hand Occult, that's Weil. The Many Faces of Bareth, obviously about Bareth. Right-clicking, 10 Years of Dawn, that's Aethys. Selected correspondence of Giftbringer Iden. Andra. Enigmatic God of Cold, that's Remergond. Let's go take a look at this. Scattered and charred stones block the passage into Sun and Shadow. So this normally would have been the passage to Sun and Shadow, the place I'm trying to go, but I have to get some of the gods' favor in order to safely get there another way. What do we got here? Luminescent Adra Shard. Crisp flashes of light run through this Adra Shard, pulsating its faceted core like veins of light fueled by heartfire. Take that. Cool. Now I can go touch this thing.
Magnificent.
Alright. Alright. And here we have all the symbols of the gods. At least, everything but Aethys. Galawain, Magrin, Abidan, Wodica, Skane, Remergond, Andra, Wal, Bareth, and Hylea. Now, so what you're supposed to do here is you're supposed to select which of the gods that you want to talk to gain favor with. In reality, you can only actually gain the favor of groups of them. So, like, this one talks to these three, this one talks to these three. I think these ones, you get to talk to them on their own. And then, Wow, for some reason. A piercing ring fills your ears as soon as you're near Wow's shrine. There is no other response. And this one, nothing happens when you approach Wodica's shrine. She has apparently been exiled by the other gods because she assumed power above everyone else. And Wal is the mysterious god. We don't know why he does what. I'm in role-playing this character pretty benevolently and honestly, so I would probably align with Hylea. So we should probably go this route. Although, admittedly, I feel like the easiest one is probably this one to go, but we're gonna go this. We're gonna go with this route. We're gonna talk to Hylea. This shrine sits before a bright constellation. It stirs, forming the oval shape of an egg. A pair of wings sprout from the egg, stretching out to either side. Pray to Hylea. You step before the shrine and prepare to recite the ritual words. Oh, shoot. Okay, so what I'm supposed to do is I'm actually supposed to read each one of these books and then know what the passphrase is, basically, to talk to Hylea. Thankfully, I'm well-versed in this game already, and I think I know which one to do. All things can be reforged. That's Abaddon. There is life and death and life. That's Bareth. Survival begins with a strength from within. That's probably Galawain. Live every note of life's song. That is 100% Hylea. Struggles are fundamental in nature. Who is that? It's probably Remergond. Sing the ocean's sorrows. Andra. All life ends in stillness. That's definitely Remergond. So who's this one? That might be Magrin or Wodica? Oh. Tomorrow my master chokes on his own whip. That's Skane. What is an answer without a question? That would probably be Weil. And Wodica takes back her throne. That's Wodica. Anyways, live every note of life's song. Your words seem to ring in the air, your voice rendered melodic and lilting by some unseen art. You shut your eyes to pray. As you wait in the darkness, the world around you changes. You feel sunlight, bright and warm, on your face. A light breeze carries music to your ears. As vivid as these sensations feel, you somehow know they are not real. You look around and find yourself standing in an open-air temple built on mountain's summit. It's filled with elves, orlins, and assorted other kith. Ringing the entire scene is a fringe of trees, their verdant branches filled with birds of all different colors, shapes, and sizes. What we're getting here is a vision of Hylea and what she represents and her personality and what she's like. Durant spits, "A paradise for those who would waste their lives exploring the meaningless while corrupting the meaning of the real world. Oh, to set these trees ablaze, Watcher." Everyone is singularly absorbed in a particular pursuit. An Orlin sits with a canvas, a paintbrush in his hand, and jars of green, blue, and yellow pigments at his feet. An elf and an Amawa, standing to the side, are locked in conversation, with their expressions dancing with delight. Still, others scribble stanzas of poetry or crude sketches on sheafs of paper, losing themselves in delicate minutiae of lines and syllables. You feel the breeze again, and two elves basking in the sunlight shiver.
Look at this place.
All these people coming together to share creations, and Canna frowns. What on earth is that painting supposed to be? The largest group gathers in the middle of the temple. They sing a lush, chaotic harmony composed of several complementary melodies. Others drift toward the singers in one and the twos as if buffeted by a gust of wind or a phrase of the song. A ripple passes through the trees. You think it's the wind, but the chirping changes to screeching. Hundreds of birds take to the skies, all in one direction. Away. Sagani raises her brow. Something must be coming. The devotees glance at the trees, just barely distracted from their activities, but the wind picks up, scattering their pages of poetry and art and ripping the songs from their lips. They look skyward and you follow their gaze. A dark shape blots out the sun. You can't tell what it is, but as it unfolds and expands, it seems to fill the sky. The wind roars over the summit. That explains the birds. Before you can flee, a shadow falls over the temple. It begins as a stain in the corner and spreads, blotting out the flagstones. It reaches the nearest kith, a black-furred Orlan. The darkness swallows her, leaving only a puff of smoke in her place. The two elves that you saw earlier, a man and a woman, flee. You get a brief image of them huddled in the shadow of a mountain. They seem to see you too, and they reach out, calling silently after you. The others, however, seem frozen as the shadow advances. They likewise vanish one by one. The driving gale scatters their ashes and the charred remains of their creations. Hylea speaks. You look up again in the source of the shadow, but the eclipsed sun forms a blinding corona around the thing, and you can't make out any details. You can, however, feel heat. Restore my temple. You look down and find yourself standing next to Hylea's shrine in Teir Evron. Your pulse still races and your skin is damp, with sweat from your strange encounter. Alright then. Well, so it sounds like in order to gain Hylea's favor, I need to travel to her temple. Earn divine favor. Hylea revealed a mountaintop temple is beset by a terrible menace. Alright, now there are side quests for each one of these gods that you could follow, each of them taking you to interesting different places for the lore, but for the sake of a critical path playthrough, I am going to go with Hylea, because that's kind of how I've been role-playing this character. At least I think that's how I've been role-playing the character. What do I got? Benevolence, cleverness, and honesty. Yeah, so like honesty and benevolence are pretty Hylea-esque, I would say. So yeah, let's go. Oh boy, that was quite the time. Alright, thanks lady, see you later. Where are we gonna go now? Well, let's consult the mapskis.
Did you hear that? About our awakenings being permanent?
Well, Aloth, sounds like you have some troubles.
If those Delamgon are right, you and I are stuck with our awakenings. Not quite the news I was hoping for.
At least one of us got some good news, right, Esselmir?
Surely, you binter! Means I'm crimmed in this one's skull until he manages to get himself quelled. Please don't do that. It's bad enough knowing that I truly am stuck with her now.
You mean how she's stuck with you?
You two deserve each other.
And on the bright side, I've got plenty of time to figure out how to deal with her. You've got to make that decision, Aloth. What do you think?
I've been thinking about it a lot lately. About her recklessness, her unpredictability. About how my own irresolution is to blame. I need to start taking control. And that begins here.
Even as he says it, something struggles within him. The muscles in his face twitch and his skin quivers. His eyes roll back in his skull, exposing slivers of white. Sweat beads and glistens on his forehead. After several seconds, he sighs and looks back at you. That wasn't as difficult as I expected. I think, deep down, I'd always hoped to find a solution elsewhere. When I was a child, I always thought my mother would come to help with a mysterious cure, or that my father, without knowing it, could somehow send her away just as he called it forth. I can't pretend that I didn't spend years of my arcane training hoping that one of my instructors would have the answer, somewhere in his grimoire. When I joined the Leaden Key, I'd hoped and believed that, with enough loyal service, I'd gain the ear of someone in the organization who could help me. Even when I met you and realized your unique talents, I hoped that you might be able to reach into my soul the way I'd seen you do with so many others. I'd been looking for someone else to solve my own problem, and now I realize I've got to face it on my own. I've been with you the whole way. I still am.
That means a great deal to me. Truly. That reminds me of something else the Delamgon said. About the gods not being real.
He says it quietly, as if afraid someone might overhear him. Yeah, I don't know what they meant by that.
It's just... I can't help but worry at the state we'd be in if that was somehow true. If there were no power guiding us in this life and shepherding us to the next.
Well, then Islamia would be a happy accident. You'd have no one to blame for her.
Yes, that would take the fun out of it.
Well, we should get moving. Let's consult the map skis. We'll gotta go to... Where do we want to go again? We want to go to Old Song. That's right. Which is over here. Click. And follow. All right.
You must have seen some amazing sights on your way north.
Sure. Pirate cities floating in the archipelago. The mountain halls of these northern dwarves. Plenty.
I haven't been further south than the Deerwood myself. Maybe I'll come back after I've convinced the Ranga Nui and see all those things for myself.
I hope you do.
Oh, that was nice. All right, where are we going? Let's see. We got the Burial Isle, which is where that pit is that I have to jump into to get to Sun and Shadow, where Theos is. Hearthsong District, been there before. Noonfrost, that's where the Remergond quest is. Old Song Pass, I think I have to go there. Hylea's Shrine. And Galawain's Maw, which is a giant stone dragon skull. There you go. Let's go over here. Hello, Casfat.
We can't stay down here. Someone must go to the nest eventually.
And on when? 1 second. I want to know what this is all about. Oh, it doesn't let me click it. All right. Let's talk to Casfath. Two wood elves, a man and a woman, wear colorful robes embroidered with a matching emblem, a winged egg, which is the symbol for Hylea. Apart from their clothing, they couldn't be more different. She folds her arms and continually scowls at the broken walls around them. He, on the other hand, mutters prayers, and his shade-dappled face is tranquil as a cloudless sky.
Just how are we supposed to worship the Sky Mother from among the weeds, This is a disgrace.
Calm yourself. We should be grateful that she protected us from the winged terror. Besides, even here we have a visitor.
What's this about a winged terror that you speak of?
A dragon. One that has taken up residence in the nest, the true temple of Hylea, and slain many of her faithful. And one which a new one has been in favor of killing from the beginning.
But no, you advised caution. Now word spread that the dragon ate a few of our followers, and anyone willing to slay it wants an Anumfoth's ransom for the job.
I told you a larger party wouldn't stand a chance. By the time the first half reached the top of the mountain, the second half would still be stuck in the pass. They'd be burned alive. Contrary to Anuin's suggestion, I am in favor of sending someone to kill the dragon. But I suggest a smaller party, and one willing to seek Hylea's blessing.
Well, good luck with that. I'd best be going. I'm just kidding. Of course we have to talk to him. Actually, I received a vision from Hylea. She bid me to speak with you about the menace that settled over her temple.
A vision from the goddess herself? What a rare and fortunate blessing.
Oniwin squints at you. Your vision did reveal that the menace is a dragon, yes? She steps back and gives you a long look. To be honest, I expected the Sky Mother would summon a whole flock of warriors to fight this monster. I fear so few will be like sparrows attacking an eagle. But if Hylea has tasked you, then if Hylea has tasked you, then who are we to doubt? Unwin is right. However, you must prepare yourself for a powerful and crafty foe. The nest and the dragon are perched atop the mountain beyond the Northweld. He points northward along a path. Follow his trails into the wilderness, and then look for another path carved into the cliffs. May the Sky Mother's blessing aid you. Whoa, let me ask something first. Go ahead, then. I have questions about the dragon. We'll tell you as much as we can. He gives Unwin a stern look. Has this sort of thing happened before? Never. Or our order would have started to resemble the Fangs a long time ago. Well, perhaps there's a reason this has happened now. She scowls. Now, let's be clear. You suggest there's some misdeed in our midst, that we've committed a crime against our goddess and some other, and have received our just punishment. Onwin, please. He lays a hand on her shoulder. She shakes his hand off. I don't know why these things happen, why our own mother goddess allowed scores of her followers to perish among flames. She narrows her eyes, speaking between her teeth. And if you ever discover why, I invite you to come back and tell the rest of us. Well, how did the dragon come to be here? With a great beating of wings and a fiery roar. Who knows why those beasts come and go? It's here, and that's what it matters. If you're asking why this has happened, only the gods know. I suspect it's a test from faith from Hylea herself. But who can say? Well, when did the dragon first show up? He looks skyward, thinking. It was several weeks ago. The creature cloaked the sky like a thundercloud and descended upon us all at once. There was no warning. Can you tell me anything else about the dragon? She opens her mouth, a crooked sneer on her face, but seems to think better of whatever she was about to say. After a long pause, she says, Nothing. That's all I wanted to know about the dragon. Goodbye. All right. Well, time to go and deal with a dragon. Finally, you guys, we get to see a dragon. Oh, that's gonna be so good. I have to travel to Northweld, and then I can go to the Temple of Hylea or Hylea, whatever you want to pronounce it. Find the Deerwood expedition in the Pilgrim's Camp in the Northweld Wilderness. Okay, if you insist. Oh, a map. We don't know where it is. I know that we want to go northish, so I'm going to try to get to this end of the map. This one seems to go upwards. Let's go this way. Ooh, wolf leader. Sneak.
Dog.
Everyone attack.
Places.
Hey.
Tracks long and shallow head east, and they're speckled with blood.
Of course.
Arrows, crude and fletched with the bright feathers, protrude from the corpse. This corpse here? Can I loot it? Cannot. The inscriptions on this altar are almost unreadable under a layer of thick moss. Pay homage to Hylea. Loot. What do we got? A pearl and a bunch of copper owls. Copper coins, otherwise known as a knot. So this would be like the base currency for the Glanfathan tribes that live in this area. Interesting. The tracks and the bloodstains continue further east.
The Northwheel was one of the last wilderness areas I designed for the game. I created a blockout trying to emphasize two things. Elevation increase, because the area leads to the high peaks where Hylea's temple rests, and also a visual history, right? This last element was conveyed by the forest itself. Half of it looks as if it was burnt a long time ago, while the other half of it looks pristine. Separating both sides, there's a mountain creek. The idea here was to show a boundary of the fires that were consumed during a War of the Black Trees.
War of the Black Trees, of course, being one of the conflicts between the Deerwoodens and the Glanfathans that we were talking about earlier. Alright. Let's continue on, shall we? Oh boy. What's this? Over a ground hardened by dried blood and stomped leaves, the corpse of a giant stalgar crawls with flies. Its flesh has been pierced and cut, as if stabbed by spears and slashed by swords. You touch the dead stalgar's flank. A cloud of flies stirs into the air, and suddenly you feel the creature's remaining essence. The world around fades away. The pack rests. Rocks shelter the young, full bellies. You turn away and look beyond the trees. The moon breaks over the swaying canopy. A scent in the air stirs a tingling in your mouth. You slide into the shadows, the taste of hunt filling your nostrils. Light shines on the stone by the water that falls. Prey down below. Two-legged, hair like dry grass. It moves near the water that flows. Thin legs, slow, noisy, unaware. It holds a sharp stick. Two-legged hunter, weak hunter, prey. Closer, prey. Bright moon, prey, into the dark. Pain, pain on your side. A sharp stick pokes out of your flank. A roar and shake it. It snaps, breaking on the stones. Wet stones, your blood. Leaves rustle. You look, another two-legged, another hunter. Thick legs, silent steps, striped face, strong hunter, enemy. You leap, aiming at its neck. It moves fast. Your claws and flesh, ripping it deep, ripping it down. Wet leaves, two-legged blood. It howls, it fights back. Long claws cut through the air. They slash at your flesh. More pain, sharp pain. You strike, it strikes. Hot blood on your claws, hot cuts on your chest. The world goes red. Your strength fails. You can't breathe. The two-legged hunter looks down. Wet ground are blood. Sharp stick above its head. Bright moon above its head. Strong hunter. The world goes dark. Search near the Sentinel's waterfall for clues to Fiorme's fate.
Of course.
Whoopsie daisy. Well, that was mostly unintentional.
Of course.
Resolve the stalemate between the Deerwooden expedition and the Fangs. You got a name? We'll talk to you. Mercenary Captain Esmar. Stop! Friend or foe? The man in blood-soaked armor points his blade at you as his wounded and weary comrades flock into position behind him. A trickle of blood runs down a cut on his brow to his neck, straining a locket worn on a gold chain. You're not Glenfathen. He tightens the grip on the sword's handle. By Magrin. Friend or foe, I said. Calm down, I'm a friend. Sword still pointing at you, the man gives a sideways glance to his companions and nods. The mercenaries lower their weapons. A rare sight and welcome. Friends is far from home. He lets the weight of his sword lower his arm. He gives a concerning look to his mercenary company. Look at us, hiding in the rocks and holding in our guts. He points south. The Fangs, they bloodied us and now we're trapped. Oh, Gwyneth sent me. What happened? Resourceful girl. The captain huffs a chuckle before returning to his humorless frown. We assume the Glenfathens killed her before coming upon us. I'm relieved she's alive. Doubly relieved she brought help. He rests his sword, still caked with blood, across his shoulders. The tribesmen ambushed us just as we made camp. The fight was a lopsided slaughter. Esmer stares at his feet as he finishes his thought. In the melee, someone tripped through the campfire. We were lucky in that regard. The stench of burning flesh and choking smoke obscured the scene, and a few of us managed to withdraw. We ran to these ruins to regroup, and now we're trapped. The face painters are just south of our position, and they have us cornered. No doubt they're happy to let us starve while they rest and rebuild their strength before attacking anew. He left his left hand idly toys with a locket worn around his neck. Seems this is where we will be making our last stand, he mutters as he clenches the gold ornament. Well, if the hunters are to the south, can you flee to the north? We could run that way, but maybe if the Glanfathans are quick, but... The captain looks over his shoulder and shakes his head. We spotted a pack of Stalgar up there. Given the options, I'd rather some face painter kill me right quick than die slowly, bite by bite, to a feral cat. He glances northward. If I didn't know better, I'd wager those beasts are still working with the tribesmen. But I'm sure they're just here following their stomachs. Just look at us, limping on our injuries and covered in blood. We must smell like a butcher's shop. Well, hey, listen, I've cleared the northern ruins. The Stalgars won't trouble you now. Esmar blinks and arches his eyebrows in surprise. All of them? The creases around his eyes deepen as his smile grows. The mercenary captain turns to his company. Hear that, boys? Looks like we've got a way out. Get to it. They cheer, and their voices kindled with purpose and spring into march. Esmar raises his fist and shakes it. The locket dances as if jerked into life. The captain nods and gives you one last look before joining his companions. Look at that. I unintentionally finished a side quest. Ugh. Ruined the critical path playthrough. Now we have to start over, guys. Alright. Anything in here? Loot. Pearls. Loot. Monies. Now I bet you those other people are down here and they're not gonna like me that much. Let's quick save. You aided the mercenaries, foreigner. Now we will cleanse the stain you mark upon these lands. Yep. Saw that one coming.
Quick, serious meeting. Rude. Yes? You're not getting from me.
Well, I'm sure that's not gonna make the locals happy. Ooh, unique bow. Preymaker. Used only by a ranger, this bow is made entirely of various body parts from numerous creatures. Fangs, claws, teeth, and bones can be seen interlocking throughout the weapon's structure. While every inch looks sharp and dangerous to touch it, it feels remarkably smooth and delicate in one's hands. Though the bower's identity is unknown, a master understanding of archery and unsettling degree of expertise in bestial anatomy are readily apparent. To hold Preymaker is to bear the feelings of assured victory, as though the wielder attacks will find their way to the target as a predator finds its prey. Nice. Wonder what unique things it has. It's fast, range this, blah blah blah, blah blah blah. Neat. What's this? That's just a cape. Cool. It's always nice finding unique equipment because it gives you lore about the world. Ugh, is that where I'm supposed to go? Oh well. Oh my goodness. You guys, can you not piss off everybody in this friggin' forest? Also, why do the bears just attack, like, you know, just automatically? I don't think that's how bears bear. Well, this has been fun. What do we got there? Springberry. Oh, takes me back to the start of this campaign. Elder Antelope. This Elder Antelope could not give two craps that I'm here. Oh, I don't think I want to fight that.
Let's see what lies this way.
Adragon. It's like a Delimgon, but made of Adra. Yep. There's many a bad guy. Quick save, just in case, because it's been a long time since I've played.
You're not getting through me.
I probably should have done something to get myself first. That's not very helpful. Yes. Looks like... Leave it to me. Yes. Lava will be on seek. Rampant. You gotta be more careful. That's not very hot. You're not getting through me. Blackbone to bear. This. Hey. That's not very helpful. Rampant. What is it? Curse your eyes. Pray, my ceiling is me too. No, a dad has fallen.
See, I was not prepared, and also this is what happens when you look at your phone too many times during it fighting without pausing. My bad. How embarrassing. Story mode, and I'm still getting myself hurt. Alright, well, let's pick up all this loot, and then
Of course.
we're going to go to this nice little spot here. Quick save in case there's a trap. I don't think there is, but nothing. Let's see. Monies. Monies. The clouds above the cliffs or north world reflect on the iridescent surface of this pillar of Adra. Nice. We're going to rest here, just to let everyone rest up. There we go. We're all up to snuff. Let's quickly level people up. All right. Thanks for putting up with that. Now, before a quick save, before we log off today, I just want to take a quick second, and we're going to go to the journal, encyclopedia, and we are going to look at these Delimgon, because we got to see Delimgon today when we talked to those two sisters outside of Teir Evron, where we prayed to Hylea for, basically to get her blessing. And we ran into these two foresty creatures, and this is what they are. I love this because there's so much lore here, and I've read this before. There's so much lore here, and it's really interesting lore, so don't let this scare you away if you're not into the reading. But, you wouldn't know most of this unless you came in here and read it. So I find that cool. So this is what a Delimgon are. These are the things that we were talking to earlier down in Twin Elms, and this is the lore for what these creatures even are. The Delimgon are forest spirits of Erglonfath that are bound into ancient, often petrified trees or Adra monuments. They appear to have mostly elven-shaped bodies, but their hair is made of wood, but their skin is made of wood, and their hair is long and plant-like. Adragons appear to have skin made of Adra, so that's just a different version of a Delimgon. Delimgon glow slightly, and often have tiny motes of light around them. They do not wear clothes, but lack sexual organs, as they only have the overall shape of humanoids. Delimgon are not entirely magical beings and do not use physical weapons to attack. Their attractiveness is used in tandem with their magic, typically to stop attackers or to lure them to their deaths. These creatures draw their essence from their environment. While they have physical bodies and can be killed if those bodies are destroyed, their survival also depends on the health of their environment. They feel no natural animosity towards other beings, but they will defend their territories fiercely. Thus, Delimgon and Adraborn, may individually be more or less hostile depending on the well-being of their locale and on whether and on whether other explorers or adventurers have, in the past, proven dangerous or benign. They are a natural roadblock to large-scale development. While rural tribes in Near Glanfath often live peacefully alongside them, expanding or developing cities and towns may find themselves beset by hostile Delimgon. Some Kith, too, oppose the destruction of Delimgon habitats. City dwellers generally support the notion, believing that their souls will simply reincarnate in other forests or back into Kith. Delimgon are traditionally friendly and towards rangers and druids. Their spiritual link with trees has led greater understanding of the link between rangers and their animal companions, though a definitive connection has yet to be made. And so that's what a Delimgon is. A Delimgon is actually, interestingly enough, it's almost like the forest has created a humanoid form. It's almost like an avatar for the forest. So, if the forest or the immediate environment was to manifest itself in some way, shape, or form, it might take the form of a Delimgon. So really, when you're talking to a Delimgon, you're in a sense talking to the forest or the environment itself directly. If you're talking to an Adragon, it would be a similar thing, except obviously Adragon are more around Pillars of Adra. Delimgon in general is more about the forest and the woods. And a Pigra is kind of like a feral version of this. There's a whole bunch of stuff here that we could go over, but we're not going to go over all of it. But yeah, so that is a Delimgon. Thanks, guys, for putting up with that. One last thing that we will do before we go, since we are following Hylea, I figured it'd be good if we read Hylea's, I guess we could call it scripture, and we can learn a little bit more about this god that I am role-playing to follow. Now, where is that? Oh, it's probably over here. You, for some reason, have all this Book of the Hunt. No. Nope. 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 Oh, shoot. That was what it was. Midwife's Memoirs. Midwife's Memoirs are kind of like a letter that you could consider scripture for Hylea. Hylea being the goddess of birds, art, expression, and childbearing for some reason. It's a whole bunch of things. The god of creativity is the way I like to put it. This is a set of memoirs known as the Midwife's Memoirs that you can read as scripture, written from the perspective of a daughter. My mother lived every note of life's song. There's the passphrase that we use to pray to Hylea. Bringing me into this world was her last verse. For this, my father scorned me and abandoned me, and for this very same fact, my town's midwife and adherent of Hylea raised me as her own. A lot of midwives in Eora are adherents of Hylea, because it's an expression of the faith. When I came of age, I learned that Hylea visits us upon the screams of women in childbirth. And when a woman dies giving life to her child, her soul is carried away and reborn as an avian attendant of Hylea's court. So, the lore here is that if a woman dies in childbirth, then she is reborn, in kind of like the Hylean heaven, as a avian attendant, or as a bird. Through the miracle of the Queen of Birds, another name for Hylea, my mother has been with me, watching over me my whole life. This could actually be literally true, as there are times when Hylea or attendants of Hylea could not possess, but look through the eyes of birds in the world. So it's it could actually be possible within the world. I wear the fetish charms of a cloud singer, a bird I dreamt my mother became. My feathery trinkets look gaudy and unbecoming, but is a signal fire to women in need that I am a trained midwife, blessed by Hylea and living every note of life's song. There's another bit of that motif. The Queen of Birds wills us to shepherd new life into the world, and not, as other gods so often desire, to end it. Which, sadly, we see is true with a lot of the gods. As someone whose wife recently gave birth and I was witness to it, I can say that, like, this is ringing true in a whole new sense. A signal fire to women in need of a trained midwife, that would be such a blessing in times like these that you see Pillars of Eternity set in, because people could die during that kind of thing. Like, having nurses and medical staff and nowadays is a big deal. So having a trained midwife back then, it's just such a huge blessing. A follower of Magran, goddess of fire and war, once mocked my faith, saying, I worship paintbrushes and birds, piddling things beneath the gods. I do not resent the other gods and the brutal necessities that they must oversee, but is it not language, love, and the arts and creativity that which separates us from simple beasts? Hylea allows us to rise above our savage, feral selves. There's a little bit of truth to this, right? Like, fire and war. That's clearly something that happens within the humanity or kithanity or whatever you want to call it of people. But Hylea is about language, love, arts, and creativity. And I think it sets people apart very differently. We can even appreciate beauty. I am often amused that upon seeing our holy aviaries, visitors frequently ask, "This is nice, but where is the real Temple of Hylea?" Perhaps they think hallowed ground requires oppressive stoneworks and ceilings that hide the sky. They do not realize the Bird Queen stands not on ceremony. She makes herself manifest in the music of birds and in the beauty of ubiquitous open sky. So right there is interesting. Because I think it's true that when people think of a religion, they think of like real temples, big stonework and stuff like that, right? But if you are worshiping Bird Queen, god of the sky, it would seem counterintuitive that you hide in a building that doesn't show the sky, right? Hylea prefers the worship of 2 children singing over 1,000 petitioners, silently praying for victory. The Sky Mother asks so little of us, and yet so much. We are charged to live every note of life's song. It surpasses me how many fail to embrace this divine calling. Live every note of life's song. Make it a bumper sticker for Hylea and her worshippers. All right, that'll do, everyone, for today's episode. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Eric, a.k.a. Gingereno, host of World of Eora podcast, which is a lore and news podcast for this game, Pillars of Eternity, as well as the second one, and Avowed, as it undergoes development. We don't have any news about the game yet, but we'll see. So hopefully you've been enjoying this series. It's been going through just so you guys can see the world that this game is set in. Tune in next time as we go here up to the Temple of Hylea, and we confront a dragon. Exciting stuff. Lots of lore with dragons. I'll see you guys next time.